Hi everyone! Welcome back to another Pals and Paws live webinar. Today we're going to have story time and be reading Go Home, the true story of James the cat. And it is both written and illustrated by Libby Phillips Meggs. And this book was the winner of the 2000 ASPCA Henry Berg Children's Book Award, which basically gives awards out to books that really encourage humane values to children so that they know how to be safe and provide for animals. So here we have Hogan. Aw, he's going to steal a seat. And we have another friend right behind the camera there, Mike, who looks pretty much exactly like James the cat. So I'm hoping he'll make an appearance as well. But I think Hogan took full advantage of the open seat. So we'll get started with the story, okay, kitties? And there's a little note. It says, "Dear reader, this is a simple story, but it needs to be told. You may have read about cats who survived a tough city environment. I have, and I've been deeply touched. This book, James's story, tells the true events that happened to an aging, lost cat in a peaceful, safe neighborhood where everyone assumed he had a home. James made us open our eyes a little wider, and he surely made us open our hearts. I hope when you read about James, the same thing will happen to you." And that's a note from the author, Libby Phillips Meggs. So we'll get started with our story. Yeah, settle in, Hogan. The black cat could not remember who had put the collar around his neck or when. It had been buckled on when he was smaller and younger, before the long, long time of being lost. Now the collar was too tight, and he had trouble swallowing. In earlier days, he had been a strong and swift hunter. These days, he looked for leftover food by the back doors of houses where other cats lived. So it sounds like James has been living outside for a while and is having a really tough time. Despite what some people think, cats really have a difficult time outdoors. There's a lot of challenges and a lot of dangers that can get in the way or hurt them. One evening at the end of winter, he found the home of Charlotte and Emily. When he looked into their sunroom, the other cats hissed in surprise. The black cat hid in the shadows and watched as Charlotte and Emily's people came to see why they were upset. He listened to the kindness in their voices and liked the gentle way they calmed the tabbies. He stayed the night and all the next day, hidden in the woods behind their house. So it looks like Charlotte and Emily don't want to share their space with the black cat. So that's too bad. He thought maybe he could live with them, but it looks like their owners don't want to take in another cat. When the people came out to their yard, the children cried, "Look at the pretty black cat!" The woman stopped and held out her hands, calling him. He came trotting. The woman gently scratched between his ears. It had been so long since anyone had pet him. He sat up and hugged the woman's hand. "I think he's lost," said the boy. "No, he's somebody's cat. He's wearing a collar," the girl pointed out. "But it's awfully tight," the mom observed. They didn't know how tight it was, how hungry he felt, or how their friendly words and kind hands made him wish that he was their cat. So, looks like James is really enjoying that attention. He probably hasn't had any love or attention in a really long time, and cats need that from people. They told him good night, and he watched from the edge of the woods, watched as the lights in their house went out one by one, and long after that, watched the darkened windows. So, aw, James is just kind of looking at the house longingly. Poor little guy. The world grew warmer. Springtime brought new baby birds and bunnies to the yard. The black cat saw them from the woods. One afternoon, the people spotted him again at the edge of the yard. "It's that nice black cat," called the boy. But the girl wondered, what if he eats the baby animals? They didn't know he was not fast enough to catch anything. He made his way to the woman, who patted him, but then said, "You need to go home now." And she squirted the hose at him. Oh no! The cat stumbled back to the woods, confused. He did not know where home was, and the only person who had been kind to him had just told him to go there. Oh. So it sounds like the woman doesn't want James around and sprayed the hose at him. That isn't nice. So that's another reason we don't want to let cats outdoors, is because someone might not appreciate that cat coming into their yard. And even though James doesn't have enough energy to chase the baby animals, you never know. Cats can have an impact on our local wildlife, so we don't want to put them into an environment they don't belong. Summer came. There was no rain. The cat tried to stay cool as he hid in the woods. There were no puddles where he could get a drink. Even the creek dried up. He watched a turtle walk across dry sand where cool water once had flowed. He knew what it was like to be hungry all the time, but now he was even more thirsty than hungry. Oh, yeah, he can't find any water, and fresh water is really important. There's lots of, bacteria and different diseases cats can pick up from standing water, so even if James were to find a puddle, it might not be the best idea. They need clean, fresh water. Then suddenly, one night, a huge, horrible storm appeared. Wind screamed, thunder shook the earth, and lightning crackled like white fire. The cat ran for cover as rain beat down in sheets. He found a dry place under the people's shed. At last the storm left, grumbling and snarling across the sky. The only sound was the dripping of water from the trees. Water! The cat crept across the lawn to drink from a puddle. Yeah, storms, being outside in a storm and having nowhere to go sounds like a terrible situation. Uh-oh, what's this now? He was almost there when he heard the growl. A monster of a dog flashed his huge teeth in the moonlight, and with one leap, he had the cat in his jaws. Oh my gosh! The cat twisted and clawed until the dog dropped him to the ground. Before the dog could snatch him again, the cat slipped under the shed. The dog was too large to follow him there. The cat listened, terrified, while the dog sniffed and whined around the little building. The dog did not leave until sunrise. Poor James, he really had a close call with that dog. The next day, the cat crawled to the edge of the shed. There stood the kind woman. "Oh, you poor cat, you've been terribly hurt." She saw where the dog had hurt him and how very thin he was. She took off his tight collar. No fur grew where it had cut into his skin. "You've been lost a long time," she cried. "If only I had known." She picked him up and held him close. He remembered being held before, but how long ago it had been. The children came out to see the cat. "Mom, he needs help right now," they said. "Let's take him to the veterinarian," she replied. "Good, finally James is going to get the care he needs. He's really in rough shape from being outside for so long." They rode in the car to the veterinarian's office. The doctor examined the cat carefully, then cleaned his wounds, put medicine on them, and even gave him a shot. Through all of this, the cat was very well behaved. "What a good, brave cat he is," the doctor said. "He's lucky you found him." "I have a feeling we are the lucky ones," said the woman. The children agreed. "These wounds will heal," said the doctor, "but he will always have a hard time walking. He should become a house cat." The black cat wondered what a house cat was. I'm sensing things might be changing for James or the cat. Back at the house, the children had put a cozy blanket in the sun for the black cat. He had not felt anything so warm and soft since he was a kitten snuggled close to his mother. He loved his toys, too. Being a house cat was not bad. Every day he felt stronger. His leg dragged a little, but he soon learned to get around very well. Before long, Charlotte and Emily came to see how friendly and good-natured the cat was. The family talked. "He's such a wonderful cat. Somebody must be missing him. It isn't right for us to keep him." So they advertised in the newspaper and with signs around the neighborhood. But no one came, and no one called. Well, we've tried, they said, smiling. He must be our cat now. Aw, look at how happy James is. And maybe if Charlotte, Emily, and the cat take their time getting to know each other, they'll be best friends in not so long a time. Being their cat was a good thing. As autumn came, the black cat grew sturdy, frisky, and full of fun. The family tried lots of names for him. Murph, Mr. Boots, Boo, Chester, Benjamin, Tommy, but none of them seemed right. Whenever these names were called, he left the room. Finally, at Halloween, some trick-or-treaters came to the house. "James, hurry up, James!" one little witch cried out to her brother. The black cat jumped to the windowsill as if he'd heard his name. The woman saw this. "James," she called, "are you James?" He came to her, purring grandly, as if to say, "Yes, I am James, your cat from now on." Aww. No harm ever came to James again. Nowadays, he loves to watch the children's aquarium. From the sunroom, he is amused by the backyard birds, bunnies, and chipmunks. When James plays in the yard, someone always goes out and stays with him to make sure he is safe. The family cuddles and feeds him. They sing to him and play games with him. In the daytime, James has his blanket downstairs in the sun. At night, he sleeps upstairs with the family. Aw, that sounds like a wonderful life. He's much happier being an indoor cat and much safer. Let's see. The day is long past when the woman told James to go home. James purrs as he lies by the fire with Charlotte and Emily, while winter's winds cover the world with ice and snow. This is where home is, he thinks, smiling, my home. And there you can see James and Charlotte and Emily all curled up in their own spots. They're all happy, living indoors. And one last picture of the kids with all three of their kitties. Nice and happy inside while it's cold and wintry outside. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the story of Go Home, the true story of James the cat. It teaches a really good lesson that there's just too many dangers outside in the community to let cats outdoors unsupervised. They're much happier, healthier, safer being indoors where they have a family to love and a home to, curl up in and make special. So thank you guys so much for tuning in today. All of our cats seem to be falling asleep, so I think they enjoyed the story of James the cat. So thank you guys for tuning in. See you next week.